Evelyn touching there on the correlation between a high population and poverty, another reason that unemployment is so rife in the country. Now, earlier on, we touched on the unemployment rate. Let's take you back to some of those numbers. The unemployment rate can be defined as the number of people actively looking for a job divided by the labor force. That is the definition given by the National Economic Survey of 2012. The unemployment rate in Kenya is currently pegged at 42%, according to research firm Ipsos. That is the proportion of all Kenyans aged 18 and above who are not in any gainful work. The labor force, according to the National Economic Survey of 2012, stands at 18.89 million. Let's now look at the unemployment rate vis-a-vis the population of the country. Now, we are at 40 million. Out of this, 21 million are above 18. That represents about 52% of the population. The number that is working is 12.2 million people, which is 58% of the number that is 18 and above. And that number that is unemployed out of those 18 and over is 8.8 million. That is the 42% which we mentioned to you a little earlier on. Now, the bulk of the working population is in agriculture. That constitutes 75% of the labor force, while industry and services constitutes 25%. Let's now look at the trends in employment according to the National Economic Survey of 2013. If we look at the totals over the past 3 years, there's a slight increase in the number of those getting employed. It's actually a very slight margin, from 11.4 million in the year 2010 to 12 million in 2011 and 12.7 million in 2012. So not really a significant number there. But then even this slight increase can largely be attributed to the informal sector. Now, the sector employed from 9.3 million in 2010 to about 10.5 million in 2012. That's a difference of 591,400, constituting 89.7% of all the new jobs created. So the informal sector there are very key in the country. And so from this, it's clear that growth in employment is largely coming from the private sector. It has actually accounted for 69.5% of people in employment in 2012. The increase from 2011 to 2012 was 3.7%, which is about 59,000 employees. Well, the main activities providing employment are agriculture, forestry and fishing, manufacturing and wholesale, and retail trade. Although in terms of a significant shift in job creation, building and construction was leading with 11.2%. And finally, in terms of distribution by sex, we'll take a look at those numbers and see if we have them now. And if not, we're going to come back to them a little later on. There we have it. Distribution by gender in 2011. That's a look at the female vis-a-vis the male. That's the numbers that we have for the distribution by gender between 2011 and 2012. So that's a look at the numbers. And Hussein, as I was saying earlier, this is probably something that's going to come up in the discussion. A sector like agriculture, a lot of opportunity there, but then again, you find that a lot of young people not really interested in seeking out employment there. Be interesting to know, what are they looking for? Take it away.
Well, thanks, Janet. Indeed, we have all the young people you'd want to see. That is a representation of them in studio. And on my right, I have Vivian Ojal. She is a recruitment expert working as the Africa lead at Amada Human Capital. And of course, next to her is Lydia Asena. She's a 31-year-old who is now looking for a job and holds a bachelor in social studies. Yeah. On my left, again, just to show you, is a group of youth we have in studio. Like we said, some are in school, some are looking for jobs, some are volunteers. They'll all be telling us what they think of this, what is the problem as regards to unemployment. I'll start with you, Vivian. You work at, you're a recruitment expert. You help employers get talent. You help people get employed. Where do you think is the problem? Where are we going wrong as a country in terms of unemployment?
I don't think it's necessarily where we're going wrong as a country. There's a lot of different developing situations that come up, but I think it's a gap between what you're looking for as an employer and what the students actually have available in terms of skills. Because I don't necessarily think that the 100% of the answer is that there's not enough jobs, because on the employer side, we're not finding enough good talent to fill these roles. And some of them are looking externally to find expats to fill these roles. But on the other side, we have individuals like in the studio today saying, I can't find a job for the life of me. And I think it's just there's a gap there's a gap that needs to be bridged in terms of the skills or the attitude of the people that are in the market. I don't want to blame the universities because I don't really think it's their fault, so to speak, because we're looking for, when you do your undergraduate degree, you're looking for more of a foundational course.
Right.
When you go to school, it's a foundational course.
Right.
It should not detect or determine what it is that you should do when you get out of school. What employers are looking for is attitude, flexibility. Are you resourceful? Do you have a great level of initiative? Can you sell yourself basically in an interview? Do you understand who it is that you are? Because with the basic skills or the foundational skills that you have, any employer will be able to develop you and take you to the next level.
Right. You're almost talking about a mismatch in terms of the skills that are available or that are coming out from universities and what is needed
in the workforce.
In the workforce.
Yes, exactly. There might be a skill mismatch. We have a lot of people today who are coming into the country setting up IT firms. We might not have enough available IT skills within the universities that we have, because a lot of these positions are actually very new positions. Like the other day, somebody said to me, we need an SWG, actually was what it was, SWG technical consultant. I looked at them, I said, what is that? Like, I have no clue what that is as a recruitment expert myself. But the skills and the capability, as much as they're looking for somebody entry level, really the basic and the foundationals of our IT programs were not strong enough. But what some organizations have done to address that is actually set up very core internship programs.
Right.
To be able to develop them into what they need.
Right, I'll bring Lydia into the conversation, but just to note that we tried to get the government to tell us about the policies and the solutions to this. We tried to get the Minister for Industrialization and Enterprise Development plus the PS. We couldn't get either of them. So Lydia Sena, you are looking for employment.
Yes.
What has been your frustration thus far?
Well, sending a lot of applications to various organizations and not getting any feedback, whether it's a regret or anything. So you don't know if they have received. And nowadays, you send by email, so you don't know if they got it or if they did not get it. But you just have to keep sending so many applications.
That's a key thing she said. I mean, we have been called the digital generation, and she's talking about email. In fact, most of the things I see today, applications do it by email. Are you really able to gauge somebody when they send an email as opposed to talking to somebody?
You definitely can't, but think about your TV station, for instance. How do you market yourself? Because even before you approach the client and you send in your marketing document, they've already made an impression about you. So it's the same for you as an individual. When you're actually looking for work, when you send in that document, the first couple of views of your CV is what determines whether I'm going to call you in for an interview. And sometimes it's not just about your experiences, but how did you present it? You know, if you're just fresh out of university, and this is for you guys especially, if you're fresh out of university, you have absolutely nothing to tell me beyond one page. Do not send several pages, 2 max if you have to have it. My own CV with over 10 years experience is only 2 pages, you know. So once it starts getting to many details and stories, you're over marketing yourself. Because think about it, a recruiter such as ourselves, we get over 1,000 applications a day. So imagine you're one of those 1,000 people, and we need to go through these applications very quickly. The smallest or slightest mistake or error, you're quickly sent out. You know, if you don't get to the point within the first page, then nobody usually gets to the second or the third page of your resume. You know, because they just want to get straight to the point. What is it that you have to offer? So that marketing document, which is your CV, it needs to be short, concise, straight to the point. What are you looking for? What do you want this person to action once they receive it?
Right. Lydia, have you tried to do anything for yourself other than seeking employment, other than seeking to be employed?
Since I came from Finland, my focus has been trying to get into work somewhere.
You were in Finland, I think it's important. You were in Finland, that's why you did your bachelor in social studies.
Yes,
right.
Social sciences. So I have been focusing on getting employment because, of course, I need money. If I'm to set up any business, I need capital, and unfortunately, I was not able to come with enough capital for myself. So my focus has been to try and get myself into employment somewhere, meaningful, gainful employment, maybe save some amount of money and set up a business. So my focus has been trying to get somewhere.
And that is the argument many have been making, Vivian. I'll come to you and you'll tell me about that in a short while, that I need to get employment so that I get some capital to do something. do you really have to wait for employment? Let me bring the other guests in studio tonight. I'll start with 17-year-old Brian Ngugi. You are in school right now?
Yes, I am.
What are you doing in school?
Well, I left Lanana School a few months ago, and I will be joining the African Leadership Academy in South Africa in September.
Do you know what you want to do?
Yes, I do. I would like to form my own company after I'm through with university, so that would require me to do computer science and also an MBA. And afterwards, hopefully that company will be able to provide enough employment both locally and on an international level.
You're not seeking to get employed as it is right now. That is not what you're focusing on.
Well, there's that experience aspect that you should be able to have to say that you work for this and this company. But finally, I would like to just work for myself.
So at some point you want to get employed, make some money, then employ people in the end.
It's more of the experience and less of the money. Yes.
Getting the experience.
Yes.
That's key, and I'll have Vivian talk about that in a short while. Caroline Marete is also trying to get employment. What has been your frustration and what have you done about it?
Well, I would say my biggest frustration is in knowing that Kenya needs the workforce. That is, most people have been trained. We have youthful people who have great talent, but at the same time, then we are not engaging these people into useful parts that will lead to getting experience from the relevant people and being able to propel themselves, maybe to be like Brian said, to start their own businesses after gaining some experience and level of mentorship. You can't just wake up one day and decide I want to start my own company. You have to be looking up to someone and saying, if I want to start a company, then I want my company to be like so and so's company. So that kind of view, it's making it so frustrating for young people to get experience, basic experience that they need to propel themselves to what they actually want to do.
How long have you tried to get a job?
I've been looking for a job for 6 months now.
6 months?
Yes.
And you are your specialty is in what?
My specialty is in aerospace logistics.
Okay. I'll have Eric Thayer finally to just give me his thoughts about this.
My name is Eric Thayer. I'm 32 years old. Currently, I wouldn't say I'm actually seeking employment. I'm actually trying to create employment. I've been employed for the past 9 years. I've had the opportunity to work for Nairobi Bottlers, South Africa Bottling Company. And when I actually entered employment, my main core focus was to get experience, know how companies run, because at the end, I knew employment was not my thing. I wanted to be self-employed. So I got the experience I needed in terms of how companies and organizations work. I was also hoping to have some capital, but that didn't go too well. But I'm glad I got the experience, and that's what I'm working on right now. Yes.
They all, Vivian, everybody here, you say, they all say, in order to get, to do something for your own, you need some sort of capital. I don't know how much you need, or the amount of capital you need to start doing something for yourself.
Well, I think the amount of capital you need is based on your business plan. What it is that you want to do, what your short-term and long-term plans are for that is actually the first place that you actually need to look at. What are you looking to do? How much money will it need? What kind of office space do you need? Can you work out of the back of your car if you have a car in your boot? Can you work out, my first office space was probably about this small, and I only had the first month's rent. And luckily for me, for the rest of that, I had a really great client who's still a client for me till today that gave me my first job and, started paying the bills for me, and we slowly started growing from there. And it was just basically word of mouth. You know, but for like yourself, where you say money is key, we have I sit on a board for Kenya Association of Women Business Owners, and what we do is we support women that are already in business, but also we are looking to see those women who are in an 8 to 5 job and would like to start their own business, whether it's full-time or part-time.
The statistics we have, according to the Economic Survey 2013, in 2012, the informal sector was the one creating employment. About 89.7% of all the new jobs created. Has anybody, the ones who haven't said anything yet, has anyone ever thought of doing anything in the informal sector? Maybe a border operator or selling clothes in toy market or something like that? Gitau Njoro.
For me, when I was in year 3. I actually started my own business doing supplies, which is something that my mom actually taught me. But it was a challenge because I was young. Getting access to the guys who are offering the procurement deals was a challenge for me.
Okay, let me hear from, remind me your name, sorry.
Purity.
Purity Mwanya, yeah.
I think the main problem with us youth, we tend to think that we
Lift up your microphone a bit, we can hear you. Yeah.
We cannot do the small jobs, and because we lack direction, because people, they have set high goals whereby people, they expect when you start a business you have to start with a lot of capital. So I think they should change the youth mindset.
Who should change the mindset of the youth? Who should change, the youth, or somebody should change the mindset of the youth?
Yeah, I think we should have motivation talks, and then also we should have education whereby youth, they can see life in a different way, whereby they can do other things like agriculture, which we merely look at. Because all of us, we come here in Nairobi to search for job, to look for job, and also we always look for job only to work. We don't think about business, or we don't think about it in maybe going back and do something where we come from for those people who have learned.
Okay. You've mentioned agriculture, and it's important. I'll talk about it in a short while. It constitutes 75% of the current the people in employment, both formal and informal, although agriculture is a category on its own. I want to know if all of you come from a family where there's a farm, and if you ever thought about farming as a way of making money and making a living. I'll come back to you in a short while. Janet, I'll take it back to you.
He's speaking quite sternly. He says, look, the problem is our graduates, not the employer. They go to university with the mentality of seeking employment. Why do I say so? When I was in campus, I was the only one in a class of 40 students who had the mentality of creating a job as an entrepreneur. Others wanted to graduate and get employment and promotion. Today, I have created employment. It's high time we started thinking about how to produce and not to administrate, as this is the case today. And by doing so, the level of unemployment will go down. So that's how Francis feels. And that's also very similar to Liz. She says, how long will we wait for the government? Let's take it slow. Start somewhere and work your way up. So that's what a lot of you are saying on SMS. And of course, on Twitter as well, someone saying, I am unemployed. I have been so for 4 months. I feel like I've done everything right. What do I need to do? So we're going to try and get answers to that now. But right now, I want to take you and introduce you to Duncan Ngene. Duncan is a fourth-year student at Strathmore University, so he's in the transition phase. Thank you so much for talking to us, Duncan.
Thanks, Janet.
Now, I want to start by asking, you're in transition right now.
Yeah.
Are you being empowered on how to seek employment in the class where you are in university?
Not really, because most of the times what happens in university, you get the technical know-how, but applying it is really hard. So when it comes, you'll graduate, yes, but when it comes to seeking a job, it's a totally different story. Yeah.
Would it make a difference if you're actually told this is what to expect when you go out there? Do you think it would make a huge difference to your outlook?
I think it really would, but most of the times what you get is like what we really expect, but when we go out there, it's totally different.
What do you mean by that?
Because recently this is from my internship, I'm just from doing my internship, and for personally from my side, I got a perfect experience, the practical bit of it, but resuming school again, you get so many people complaining that what they did was not what they expected, because the university teaches you like to apply what you learned.
So you're told you're going to graduate from here and you're going to go straight into your dream job, so to speak, and get right into it. But instead, you were saying that your friends were saying they go there and they're doing clerical work.
A lot of clerical work.
And they have an issue with that.
Yeah.
Some people may argue this way and say, you have to start somewhere. You have to start by serving tea or running around and delivering mail. How would you defend that?
I wouldn't really defend it, because it takes someone about at least 8 years maybe, because you'll start serving tea, yes, but by the time you go up the ladder, it will take you a lot of time as compared to someone else who's in the field doing your own things, maybe entrepreneurial drive, what most of us lack.
Before I even just go to entrepreneur, I want to still task you on this particular question. Do you feel like a lot of young people right now want it easy? Do you think they want a quick fix? They finish school, they get their dream job, and that's it?
I think that's what has been drilled into us, because most of us were given that culture that you'll study hard, you'll get the best grades in your high school, but when it comes to university, you'll do the hardest course, but when you go out there, you'll get the best jobs, which is not really true.
Which is not the reality.
Yeah.
Let's go to entrepreneurship. A lot of people now, of course, are talking about the fact that empowering young people and starting their own businesses is really the way to drive the economy to where it needs to go.
Sure.
Are you taught at all about entrepreneurship in school?
Yeah, it's offered as a course in most cases. I'd say one in many cases maybe. But again, it really makes you realize what you want to do in life. And it will be really interesting and really knowledgeable for us to have it. Because it will give you a clearer picture of where you want to be.
And yet, a lot of people still seek employment.
Exactly.
Are you just not convinced about the entrepreneurship aspect? Where is the disconnect? You're taught about it. You're told this is you. We're giving you the skills to carry out the job of your dreams, and yet you still go out there and you want to seek employment. How come?
Because most of the times, like, guys will go out there. Like, I think there's one text that you read that I really agree to. Most of us don't do what we like. We actually do, like, what we go into universities, we want to do what we want to do just to make money.
Also what your parents want you to do? Is that also an issue?
Also what your parents want us to do. Because I think in most cases, like, most guys analyze it in such that it's only the guys who don't do well in a KCSE or maybe primary, according to our 844 system, that don't make it. But even those guys who really excel well, get A's, don't really make it well, because you don't have an option of doing it. What is built into us is that you get good grades and you're forced to do something medicine, actuarial maybe, or any other hard course. But you don't do, like, someone more into arts won't go and do music if you had an A.
Are you doing what you love?
No, I wouldn't say I'm really doing it.
You're doing actuarial science.
I'm doing actuarial science.
What would you rather be doing?
I think basically I'd like to do something to do with wildlife.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so why are you doing actuarial science?
Because I got a good grade. And
were you forced to do actuarial science?
Not really, but what was mentored into me is that you're well in math. Take something you love doing in math. Yeah, like you'll excel well if you do math well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you think needs to change, Duncan? We're kind of trying to seek solutions. Obviously, the issue of unemployment, particularly with young people, it's a broad subject. It's something that we can discuss at length. As a young person transitioning, you may or may not, and I wish you well, and I really hope you get a great job. You seem like a man with charisma and you're very smart. But assuming worst case scenario, you go out there and it's difficult and you find yourself struggling. What do you think it is that needs to change perhaps in the mindset of young people, or what perhaps does the government need to do, if I can ask that question?
Maybe I can start with the government, because you realize that there's poor infrastructure, and poor infrastructure definitely means there's no jobs for us guys. Yeah. So immediately, like, I'll sample my case. I'm doing actuarial science. I'll be very well off in an insurance company, but honestly, how many insurance companies are there? Or how many banks are there? How many are willing to offer employment to such guys as us? So I think, starting with the government, they really need to improve on the infrastructure, the structures around. Then for us guys, I think we need to get really good mentors in the industry, so that by the time you go into your career, you start your career first steps, you already know where you want to be. And it's really what you want to do. Because personally, I'd rather live a short life doing what I want and what I like doing than living a long life getting frustrated and doing what I don't like.
Sorry, I'm smiling because my director, Carol, is really empathizing with you. She loves how you're talking and bringing your point across. Before I hand it back over to Hussein, you've mentioned something very interesting, and that's mentorship. And I hear a lot of young people talk about that as well. Do you generally feel like there's a lack of good mentors in the country?
Yes, I do. Because the only mentors we'll have are our parents, who are doing totally different things from what we do. Yeah, I have a dad who's doing engineering, a mom who's doing her own business. She's a business lady. So I really think there should be good mentors out there, like maybe, I don't know, somewhere in that field you want to work in, which you don't have now.
Okay. Duncan, you've spoken so well. Thank you so much. We could have extended this conversation. Like I said, I wish you well. I think the fact that you're passionate about life will take you places. So thank you so much. So Hussein, just talking to Duncan, I think he resonates with a lot of what young people are saying out there. Tell us what your panel thinks about his comments.
Yes, Janet, they'll tell us in a short while. Let me just read one or two SMSs we're getting from our platform 22422. Mwalimu Kimani from Thika says, to create the capital you need, telling you guys, start by planting, including me, start by planting 1 million cabbages and sell them each at 1 shilling only. This will take you about 6 months. then start your business. Okay, I'll talk about agriculture in a short while. First, I want to bring the youngest guest in our studio tonight. That is 16-year-old Faith Chumo, Form 3 student, Precious Bloody Ruta. Thank you so much for coming for this show. Are you doing, do you think there's any mismatch in, or do you know what you want to do? And are you getting any, teaching or training in what you want to do right now?
Thank you very much. Yes, I know what I want to do. I want to do medicine, and I want to be a pediatric cardiologist. Yes, and yes, I'm getting a lot of mentorship, and I think some students out there aren't getting that. What they're getting is from their parents. I was a doctor, you must be a doctor. I am a teacher, you must be a teacher. And sometimes you don't want to do what your parent is doing. You want to do what you want to do. So I think that many of the students should be able to get this mentorship. Like, for example, I'm going to be able to go to, on Friday, I'm going to Nairobi Women's, and I'll be able to see the cadavers and see whether I can handle the sight of dead bodies and everything, and to job shadow with doctors. So I'll be able to know whether I want to do medicine or not.
And that is going to be mostly facilitated by the gentleman on her left. That is Julius Weche, does these career seminars for such students. Why is it? I don't want to talk about anybody's parents or talk bad of parents. We all love our parents. But everybody's talking about mentorship elsewhere. Are we saying our parents are not giving any mentorship to the students?
No, we're not necessarily saying our parents are not giving us mentorship. It's just that because of the close relationship between the parent and the child, there tend to be certain issues there, so that the children may not necessarily listen because they're still remembering the harsh tone with which you did X, Y, and Z, when you refused to give them A, B, C, D, when you, disciplined them. So, for example, with all due respect, with Faith's dad, we've agreed to cross-mentor. So I can be able to help mentor Faith. Tomorrow she'll be at Chiromo campus to be able to see how the covers look like. And Mr. Chumo will also be able to provide my son an opportunity to see what engineering is all about. I don't know anything about engineering, so I'm very glad that he can do that. So that's what we do as parents.
Well, we talked about agriculture, and Vivian, we talked about it being constituting about 75% of the labor force. I don't know if this is a secret for all of you guys, but I'd like to know, you all come from certain districts in this country or counties. Do you have farms where you come from, your parents' farms? Let me start with you, Caroline.
Okay, first to begin with, I come from the Meru County. Yeah. And my grandparents are great farmers. They do tea, they have tea plantations, and they plant bananas. They definitely don't plant Mira because it's not on the other side of Meru, but that's also good. But the thing is, I have my parents went into something else. My parents are into medical in the medical field, and I've enjoyed seeing them serving the people in medical field. I chose to go another direction into aviation industry, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong that I've chosen to go into aviation and my parents are in medical field. Yes. I just think that for example, my dad talked a lot about going back to his homeland in Meru and starting a big farm, of which I'm very supportive. So
I'm talking about you. About you.
Yes, about myself, I honestly don't see myself in farming.
Why?
Because for one, everyone has a different kind of passion, and my passion, I believe, is in the aviation industry. But I don't think there's anything wrong.
It's been hard for you to get employment in the aviation industry, and I wish you the best of luck. One day you'll get a job there. Yeah. But don't you think farming is an avenue you can pursue?
I think farming is an avenue I can pursue, but
you don't think it is good? It doesn't sound cool.
It's not about coolness or what is appealing. It's just about what you really want to do in you. Because I'm sure there's a 20 or 19-year-old out there who would like to do good farming, but they're probably not getting support for it. So...
Yeah, okay, I'll read one more text, and I want you to give the microphone to Eric Thayer. I'll read one more text, Eric Thayer, before we talk to you. Tell the young people to start generating money with the little money they have. I started a small business with 200 shillings. You're all talking about capital. In the year 2001. I have depended on it up to today. Think of how to employ yourself. That is Peter Mutemi. You had some reservations with what Vivian had said.
Okay, not exactly.
You're calling yourself the hustler.
Yes, me
Right.
the hustler, I'm tani. So what I had was actually just this state of mind, as I could say, that the older generation have. They expect us to go with a certain mentality, which I disagree with. If I have a talent and I have a desire to do something, I don't see why I cannot just start it from scratch. Personally, I'm a writer. I know right now I will not make the millions, but with the experience and time, I will be able to make the millions. Now, when you were speaking, you were talking about, if I remember correctly, experience. True? How would a filmmaker get experience in Kenya?
Sorry, could you repeat that? I didn't hear you.
You were speaking about getting experience.
Yes.
How would a filmmaker or an aspiring filmmaker get experience in Kenya?
Get experience in Kenya?
Yes.
Okay.
You mean from school? Fresh from school, or just?
Yeah, not even fresh from school, because getting an education in terms of film is quite expensive. But let's say you have a dream to be a screenplay writer like me. I write screenplays, and I believe I have potential with them. And I believe if you give me a camera, I'll be able to shoot a very nice film. But right now, I'm being told I have to get experience. Why can't I just jump into the pond with the big sharks and swim with them?
Well, the first thing is, without experience, they're not going to be comfortable to give you the camera.
Why?
To take that proof. They don't want to take the chance. Like for instance, I'm pretty sure today if I say, you know what, I can do your job, just give me the iPad, let me do it, they'll be like, no, maybe next time. Because I don't have that exposure. I can't really sit in front of a camera and do it. But perhaps if I sit more with him, beside him for long enough, I say, you know what, I'm willing to volunteer my time. In fact, let me just sit here. Let me sit where that gentleman is sitting and give me a chance to see how you do it. How do you plan? What's your script like? How does it work? Now, there was a key thing that I think you mentioned, which was, I'm not necessarily looking for the money, I just want the exposure. You mentioned that it's not about the money, it's actually about the exposure. So if it's really about the exposure, figure out who are your best producers that you like, your best filmmakers in Kenya that you know of and that you like, right? First, look them up. Send them, listen, I need some work experience. I'm really passionate. Here's some sample of my screenplays that I've written. I've done this show. Perhaps you can come watch it, or I have it on video. You can watch it. But I would really love to learn about this. If I could just, follow you on set and see how you do it and how it's set up and slowly get into experience.
I'd like to come into that. How practical? Julius, what you have something to say? Just a moment. Yeah.
Well, I just like to disagree with Eric, because he and I have known each other for a while. And he knows very well that I have career seminars, which we hold at Mavuno Church. And one of the key people we have there is none other than Mr. Bob Nyanja, who is one of the best directors in Kenya.
Yeah.
He's done.
But then you also
Let me correct him first. I've just told he's associated with Bob Nyanja here in studio, so you shouldn't try and use that against.
But I was suggesting to them
if I knew this before, I would have definitely approached you.
The young people need to pursue us as and when we have opportunities to offer to them. When they keep sleeping, it's their loss.
Right. You all have a point, but he also has a point. I mean, we're already talking about, we have a huge number that is unemployed. It's not Eric only who want to get the attention of one director or somebody. And would they really give Eric that time?
Okay.
And how many people are like Eric who want to get into that?
Well, the opportunity actually is there. The opportunity actually is there. It has been created. All we are saying is that let's have the young people wake up and take the opportunities that are given. But insofar as they decide to sit at home and watch DSTV and keep pushing the knobs, then they're not going to go far.
Is that the case, really? Somebody else?
I actually want to interject real quick, because he asked you a key question earlier on during the break, and he asked, where are my hustlers? Are you guys hustlers? A hustler doesn't sit back in his chair and says, I can't get that opportunity. He does exactly what that gentleman just mentioned. Get up and go for what you want. Here's your list, go through, because I used to want a job really badly. I couldn't find one when I came back from school. My godmother used to make me sit in her room every day, every Friday. We'd go through all the newspapers, and I could not leave her house until I'd applied for 50 jobs. How badly do you want that filmmaking opportunity? Because there are several. Whether it's from him, if he doesn't get it through the gentleman that he just mentioned at the church, he will link you up with other opportunities. Are you a hustler? Do you really want this opportunity?
Yes, I am. Big
Get
time.
off your
Now,
chair
what I'm
and get
asking
it.
for is the opportunity to jump into the deep end with the sharks.
You cannot jump. You cannot start running before you can walk. You can't start running before you can walk.
Let me hear Faith.
I think you can also start small. You don't need the big cameras and the Hollywood and everything. At school we had, actually we have a filmmakers club. Those people, they are trained by actual filmmakers and they come and they learn, so they have experience. So when they go apply for these jobs, they have experience at high school. And you can also go to plays, go to Alliance Francaise and have plays and sell tickets and get noticed and meet these filmmakers. You don't have to start big.
Pass the microphone to Gitao, please. Gitao Nyoro.
I totally disagree with him because I believe the ages of since you're born till the ages of 25 thereabout, I think it's the time to build a foundation. It is important. It's a foundation stage.
Have you done anything for yourself, Gitao?
Yes, I have. I'm one of the guys. I'm lucky enough to have a mentor who actually took me in. I'm 1 in a million. There's the issue of mentorship. Our wazes, sorry to say, some of them spend most of their times in the bars at the evening. When it's 5 p.m., they'll leave the office, they go hook up somewhere, just enjoy, discuss, have a couple of drinks, then go home. Even the family actually suffers.
So you're saying nobody is there to mentor you at home? You have to look for this outside?
No.
Not you. I'm not talking about you specifically.
Oh, okay,
I'm talking about your parents.
In general.
I'm talking about generally, yeah.
Yeah, I believe it is important for each and every one of us to invest time to look for mentors out there. I believe, first of all, it should start with purpose as well. What do you want to do in life? Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Right. Okay,
because most of the guys, I've noticed, you just finish school, apply for any jobs, 50 CVs. Some of the things you've never been trained.
Okay.
Just trying out everything out there. It's important to pinpoint your purpose and try to make something out of what you really want to become.
Okay, let me hear from Caroline very briefly because of time.
Okay, I would just like to point out something about mentorship. I think mentorship is very important, just like everyone else has emphasized. So far, we can all agree on that. So I would just like to share a bit of my experience. I've had a chance to do an internship out of the country, abroad in the US. And I also had a chance to do another internship here in the country. And I can confidently point out that even our own industries here in Kenya, they are not very good with mentoring people, because what do they let you do when you are an intern here in Kenya? Like, okay, most companies, maybe not every company, but what do they make interns do? They make you do the simple works. Like, they make you deliver the papers, they make you print out, do simple editing jobs.
And what did you want to do?
But when
the big jobs that Thaya says the sharks.
Yes.
When sharks do, huh?
The big jobs that Thaya is talking about.
But that takes time, Vivian. That is what you're trying to tell them.
Exactly.
That's true. But something I would just like to point out real quick is that out there, like countries in the US, what do interns do? They give you a big task. They tell you, we are doing this. We are selling a plane. Tell us what is the next step to do. Like, they actually make you participate in the real work that is good for you. Like Duncan pointed out, you get the real experience in the job, but in class it's not at all relevant. So I would like to emphasize, even the people who are out there in the industries, they should do good mentorship.
Okay, we're going to take a short break now, but we'll come back and continue with this conversation. A lot more we want to get from the guests here. Again, we only talked to Caroline about agriculture. I don't know what the others think about agriculture or being a border operator or any other of these jobs, because we have people who are saying they started with 200 shillings and now they are somewhere. We'll come back. This is the last final part of our discussion on unemployment tonight, and I'll just want to get the final comments from Vivian here. Of course, we're talking about unemployment, and let me read one or two texts here so that I get it into context. At Dean Haji on Twitter says, the problem with us young people is we choose a lot, or we are choosy. All of us want to be in a suit and tie, so who will farm and fix our cars tomorrow? And then Catherine from Mary says, tell your guests to stop wasting their lives looking and waiting for employment. I don't know if that's the right thing to say. I'm a university student. I cook and sell food. I sell boiled cereals in the evening. Gioni she says. I pay school fees for my daughter. What is all this whining? Tell them to identify their own talents and passions and get busy. Okay, and they're all talking about passions and wanting to get wanting to get what they must, what their passion is. There's no problem with that, but there are no guarantees in life, are there? And do you think they should be doing something on the side as you wait to get what you really want to do?
I agree. There are no guarantees in life. The best thing is to make the best of what you have right now, the resources that you have available to you. And if that means planting a cabbage, like the guy said in the SMS, you know, to get your million shillings to start your business, then that's what you need to do. You need to understand who you are, what you want, and how you're going to get there. In between, it might take cleaning floors, sitting at the reception, or, you know, being a janitor, whatever it takes for you to get to that particular level. And you're talking about experience, that you're not getting the jobs that you want because of experience. The first thing is just to get a job, to get that exposure when you're in university. Whether it's volunteer work or it's an internship, you know, it would be great. And just to go back to what you said about internships, you mentioned that the structure in the States and the structure in Kenya are completely different in terms of the level of work that they give you. I agree with you that as corporates in Kenya, there are very few of us that have taken the internship program seriously, because an internship program needs to start from scratch. We identify how many people we need, when we need them, and what we're going to take them through, you know, within the organization.
Okay, let me have final comments from Julius Swecher.
I believe that we need to also start a lot earlier. And we need to begin with students when they are still in school, so that these students can start understanding in their minds that they need to be able to literally hustle, you know, get that kind of experience while they have the opportunity, so that by the time they literally now get into the working world, they are going to literally know everything they're trying to do. And that's why we shamelessly have our careers training opportunities, where we want students like Brian here and Faith and others to take advantage of these opportunities, see what it is like to be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer. We bring resource persons, like I'm glad Janet has just offered this evening to be one of our resource persons at our training at the end of this month at Mavuno Church, so that anybody who wants to come and get involved with the media, for example, like Lydia there, can actually come, meet these people, see what it is that they're doing, and go forward. These are real solutions, not just whining, as somebody said. And like Eric over there, who has not known that these opportunities there, come, you will meet Bob Nyanja, and who knows, you might be on Churchill the next thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, let me have just one representative of all each for the final comment.
Okay.
Caroline, yeah.
Yes, my final remark is a question to our host tonight, Janet Mbogo and Hussein Mohammed. I know for sure you have gone through these stages that we have come as youth ourselves. So I would like to hear the story of your life.
That is not a question, but anyway, the story of our lives. I can speak for myself, I can speak for Janet, but just know that I hustled. I've talked to Janet about it. She says and she knows she hustled as well. But this is a story for another day, and I don't think it's about us, it's about you. But thank you very much. Thank you all for making time for us. Vivian, the recruitment expert, thank you for making time for us. Good luck in seeking employment. But then remember, as you seek employment, there's also room to be the one to create employment in the future. Thank you very much. Janet, I'll take it back to you.
I think, Hussein, every one of us hustled in some way to get to where we are. People are looking for the specific hustle, and I wouldn't say it, so let's leave it at that. But obviously, people start from somewhere and then move their way up. Let's take a look at one or two SMSs. Niki from Kisumu says, after school, that is high school, I was shortly in employment, but later I left to start my own business in one of the major malls in Kisumu. All I want to tell the youth out there is that the buck stops at your efforts as an individual. Someone else here says, Janet, I started from a housemaid to sales lady. I had a dream of owning a business, and as we speak, I'm worth millions. Imagine, from house girl to millionaire. You should start from somewhere and dream big. I disagree with the gentleman saying that he wants to grow fast. I'm a 33-year-old single mom. While other people, of course, are saying Kenya is full of opportunities. As a Standard 8 leaver doing very well in business, I was a Standard 8 leaver and I'm doing very well in business. I'm now employing 20 people and giving support and providing 100 jobs. This, to me, is, of course, the future. So many people sending in SMSs. Let's now move on to Twitter. Let's take a look at Twitter right now and see what people are saying out there. So many tweets have been coming in. Let's take a look at some of those. At Shiko Tweet says, entrepreneurship is not a course, it is a mentality. It is grown over time, not in 3 months. Let's take a look at the next tweet at Lawi_Kibe. I believe the problem starts with our education system. We need to change. We need to change it, and we watch our babies when they are young. At Ezekiel says, we need transformative education that educates the whole students, not just one that prepares us for jobs. I think Hussein can step in at this point and read some of the tweets that we have.
Right. At Kobe says, Generation Y problems. We want to be overnight millionaires. The mindset need to change. We start from somewhere. And at Azrael Redeems, unis, that is universities, breed followers, not innovators. Most people who say they have created jobs were mentored or have financial backing. And at Tarsisi says, entrepreneurship means getting started. You do not need an office space. You need passion and a plan.
That's right. Interesting, Hussein. So a lot of people supporting start from somewhere. Where did you start from? Putting you on the spot. You always put me on the spot, so today it's on you.
The director says it started from Garissa.
And that's enough.
Yes, that's enough.
But
I